So participants of Natural Resource Management MOOC courses, today I will be just revising for your actually so that you can actually see the course content and also the topic that we have discussed at the very beginning. So this kind of revision will help you for the final exam, which is coming in almost at the end of October. So if you recall that the first module or the first lecture that we started with Introduction to Natural Resource Bases. And what did we discuss there? We discussed various aspects of resource management, like the carrying capacity, ecological footprint, sustainability, sustainable portfolios, then building sustainable businesses, natural resources of different geographical regions of India. So we also discussed, if you recall, that different resource bases, and within that we have environmental resource, natural resources. Then we also gone for different classification of resources, and we have total natural resources divided into mainly two parts, that is exhaustible and inexhaustible. Within inexhaustible, we have renewable, partly renewable, non-renewable. Each one of these examples are given here. And then inexhaustible means which you cannot actually finish off even if you use, like solar, wind, tidal, geothermal energy, water, air. But water and air are conditionally inexhaustible. Means if you use it beyond certain limit, water also, air also can give some problem to us, because as you already know that most part of the world is facing already some water crisis. So that's why it is called as conditionally inexhaustible. Means it is not that you keep on using and it will not get over. So then we talked about the various example of natural resources. Then each natural resources and their major uses that we discussed. Following which we also discussed about various concepts of ecology, ecosystem and biome, which are very, very important to understand the natural resource base and also the natural resource management in particular. Next, we discussed about natural resource management concepts like preservation and conservation. Many times it happens that you will see that people get confused between, when they talk about preservation and conservation. Both the terminology they use for same purposes, but there is a difference, slight difference between preservation and conservation. So in case of preservation, we keep the resource as intact as it is or it was. But in case of conservation, we try to maintain the resource in good condition as much as possible. So in sense, preservation is little bit stricter way of maintaining your resource base. Conservation is that you have to maintain it in a proper manner so that you can still continue using it. Then we discussed about carrying capacity, very, very important aspects. Carrying capacity, I am sure that all of you have gone through this lectures very carefully. So in carrying capacity, we discussed about the J shape and S shape curve, as you see here. So in case of this is J shape curve, which is exponential growth, means population increases along with time. when there is no limit of anything, food or space or time. So here what happened in J-shaped curve, as you see, that it occurs when you have unlimited amount of resources, and also birth rate here will outnumber the death rate. That's why population, goes keep on increasing. No limiting factors. That's the basic criteria. Whereas in case of A-shaped curve, which is this one, here you have the concept of carrying capacity. That is the maximum capacity up to which population can be maintained with the available resources. Beyond that, then you run out of resources, your population comes down, and then when the population comes down, then again resource seems available and you continue growing again. Then we discussed about ecological footprint also, an ecological footprint various concept, and then we discussed about the issue of sustainability, and this is one very important aspect of natural resource management also. And I hope that now when you are running almost 7-8 weeks you have crossed of this program, so I'm sure that you have now reasonably good idea about sustainability, but still it is good to revise it, and that's why today this particular session I am trying to help you in revising the topics, previous topics, because as I said, in October and you will be having your final exam. So sustainability, there are various concepts, there are various charters, as you see here, 1.A, 1-1B, and each one of them has various aspects involved with this concept. Then we also discussed about the 17 SDG goals, which all of you, most of you are aware of. Then we talked about sustainable portfolio management. This is an important aspect. Sustainable business is also another important aspect. Then we also discussed the natural resources basis of our country, including land, forest, water, power, mineral resources of the country, and where they are available, how much they are available, so which particular type of new mineral is available where. These are the uh, discussion that took place in the first 1 or 2 weeks of this lecture. And we also saw that there are various type of mineral resources in India. Almost all kind of minerals are available in our country. So this shows also the the richness of our natural resource base or endowment of our country. Then we talked about the power resources in India, various sources of power and their availability in our country. Then after this, actually we went uh, into another topic, and that was that we discussed about various aspect factors influencing natural resource availability, distribution, and uses. So here actually we talked about if you recall that we talked about human settlement and population, then human migration, economic activities. So these are all important issues when the aspect of natural resource management comes into picture. So the human migration especially is a very important issue these days. So please, when you read any document about natural resource base and related different kind of stresses, you will find that one of the impact happens is in the form of human migration. So people turn to leave like from one place to the other in search of resources like water, fertile land, because at the end of the day they have to survive. So there are various other interrelationships that we discussed, among different types of natural resources. Here, water, soil, forest. I'm sure all of you are able to recall this, this topic that has been discussed at the first very few weeks. So then after that, we came into uh, another topic on natural resources basis of that we have already covered. So next, let me find out which actually we discussed approaches. Yes, we discussed about the approaches of natural resource management, and for anyone, for people who are actually who want to get into the natural resource management profession line. So for them, I think this particular aspect is very important, especially the various approaches in resource management, like spatial approach, ecological, economic, technological, and ethnological. And if you recall, we discussed all this approach in great detail. So I hope that you have studied this part also, because these are all important sections for your final exams. So then we also talked about the implications of resource management approaches, um, and where we discussed about the policy aspect of resource management, like institutional environment and enabling policy, which helps your natural resource management. Then we talked about participatory processes for establishing the community-based groups. Many of you, if you are from any non-government organization, grassroots level organization, you must be aware of that how participatory or community-based natural resource management, that is CBNRM, which we also discussed in this particular course, is critically important for best management practices for natural resource management. So then different linkages between different institutional actors to facilitate large scale adoption of sustainable NRM practices. We have discussed about that. After that, then we move to another topic, that is your biodiversity and conservation of natural resources. And in again biodiversity, especially few parts of our country like northeastern Indian northeast region, and then you have also you know our some of the part of especially eastern Himalaya, which comes under the northeastern part, is really some of the hot spot of biodiversity are available in this particular zone. Then we have the our west coast also. There we have a different kind of biodiversity there. So if you look at that biodiversity, actually provides us a lot of resources, not only for our livelihood or sustainable living, but also sometime for for income resources. Means this you from here you can actually go for different kind of ask kind of profession, like I talked about during the lectures. How biodiversity, like you can go for different kind of biomedicine development, food products value addition, food processing, various aspect line that people can actually take. If you are your agriculture for somehow the hardcore agriculture, food crops based agriculture is affected because of certain regions, you can always shift towards this particular line. So here in biodiversity, we talked about soil, a bit soil as a resources and its profiles, how it looks like, and then its taxonomy, different classes, textural classes. We talked also about land use and land cover, and land degradation, which is one of the major problem most of the part of the world is facing. And you know that globally almost 3 billion people are affected because of this one single problem. And land degradation, of course, takes away your natural resources. Then we talked about different kind of soil erosion, its causes, the factors, erosion processes, how it happens, and then we talked about universal soil loss equations, and then various factors which are available in soil loss equations. Desertification is another aspect which also impact our natural resource reserve. Then we discussed about causes and effects of desertification. So, um, so if you look back that we have covered actually quite a lot of aspect till now. Then after that we have gone into you know participatory rural appraisal topic and rapid rural appraisal topic. These two tools, participatory rural appraisal and rapid rural appraisals, these are basically helps you to understand that how community, how people are getting the benefit of the natural resources, and also how they are maintaining the natural resources, and if resources are not maintained properly, then what actually could happen, the impact side also. So these all those information you can generate through participatory rural appraisal or rapid rural appraisal. These two we have discussed in great detail, starting from the principles of PRA and how PRA actually takes place, different methods, and how actually PRA report can be written. This is a very critical aspect, and especially for professionals who are working in the field of natural resource management. PRA report writing is one of the most important aspects. So then we talk about the tools and techniques which are used for PRA and also RRA, following which we talk about the PRA techniques, various principles involved with methodology, PRA techniques, organizational techniques, and each one of them we in fact discussed in great detail. I hope that all of you are getting remembered about these topics, these aspects. So a lot of actually topics have been covered during these last 8, 9 or 10 weeks of classes. So that's why this revision discussion that we are having today is going to benefit you to look back what are the topics that you have discussed. We also discussed about the different kind of PRA tools, and when we talk about PRA tools, there comes interview maps, timelines, ranking, all this aspect. Each one of them we discussed separately, and with or without example. And I'm sure that you must have studied all these aspects very critically. So each one of these actually also help you to understand a particular area or location. What is the present status of their natural resource base? What are the drawbacks? What are the gaps that one can actually intervene and try to somehow manage that particular location in a better manner. Ranking is very important. Ranking helps you to understand what are the preferences that you have, which particular resource you want to preserve or conserve first, which one you want to do second, which one third, like that. You make a list, and that also through various ranking process, pairwise ranking, whole ranking, etc. Venn diagram, all of you know, structure direct observation. So these are the aspect has been discussed among PRA and RRA activity. Then we have gone into another aspect in the following week, And again, that's a very important topic, and that is technologies for natural resource management. So this part actually concentrated on the technological part. I'm sure that in this course there are many participants who are coming from also engineering background. So probably they could find some food for their thoughts in this particular aspect. So thus, the best possible way of natural resource management, if you recall, we discussed about watershed management, because that gives you the opportunity to actually handle most of the problems. We talked about various case studies, and I am happy that few of you in first live session actually mentioned about case studies. That time this particular lecture I think was not already online, so I hope now you have already gone through it, so you know that case studies also were part of this lecture. So various initiatives with real example we have discussed, various technologies which are involved with natural resource management. Now, for natural resource management, as I said that community-based management is one of the most important aspect that need to be kept in mind, and especially when you will go into the field, you need to work with the community. So CBNRM in lecture also, I believe that all of you have gone through it with great amount of interest. Within this natural resource management, we have another concept called integrated natural resource management in great detail, where you bring in each one of these integrated land resource management, integrated water resource management, coastal zone, these all those things we have discussed in earlier lectures, and I hope that you are getting remembered of this aspect that we have discussed during the ongoing lectures of these particular courses. So then INRM actually was a very long, and very diverse topic, which I mean I have taken in a couple of lectures, if you recall, in a couple of parts. So this is the research process framework, which I hope all of you have gone through it. Learning cycle in INRM, very important. So then we discussed about various INRM plan also, because only that technology on ground is not enough. You also need to know the policy aspect, how you are going to implement those. Then we talked about water resource management, and then we came into the community-based natural resource management, where people actually come and own their own resources and try to take the responsibility. So CBNRM, I think that is one very interesting aspect of natural resource management. I hope very nicely, where poverty, governance, and natural resource conservation, three things come together, and CBNRM is actually takes care or touches upon these very critical three issues. We talked about then framework of CBNRM policies, benefits of CBNRM also, direct and indirect benefit. Then we also discussed about the difficulties which are faced by also CBNRM. So the complexities, partnerships, traditional leaderships. So these difficulties during community-based natural resource management also we need to keep in mind. Then we discussed with watershed management, how within a watershed management you bring in all these learnings and try to implement your ideas. So we had also a couple of lectures, if you recall, on various approaches, tools and techniques. So again, for this particular topic also, I gave significant amount of time, so that because this is one thing, watershed management, which actually practically, you can go there among the people and can work. So then after that, we gone into the different policy aspect, water policies aspect, national water policy in WP. We looked at then rainwater harvesting, also water harvesting principle, soil erosion measures, how soil erosion can be regulated. We discussed about various technologies, which are some of them are biological, some are physical. So I'm sure that you recall all those aspects. So yeah, we talked about also this contour trench hills of cultivation. So here you need a little bit of civil engineering knowledge, and along with agriculture also, agriculture knowledge about how to go for plantations in the hilly regions. We also discussed about various other type of plowing and bunding processes, as you see in these pictures. Soil erosion control also, from various other aspects we discussed with several example. Then gully plugging, this also we discussed, if you recall, the design of various kind of structure to reduce the erosion and also to conserve water. So again, this erosion part or flood water management aspect or engineering structures is one thing that again I gave a lot of time to make you understand that how different technologies are already available with us and can be applied in different form. Some of the examples are taken from advanced countries. Yes, today they are not available probably in India, but tomorrow they will be. We discussed about also the technical principles of overturning, overtopping of structures, how they can twist, and yeah, we continue talking about flood warning, watershed. So this again, this lecture was also divided into a couple of small lectures for your better understanding, and I hope that you have gone through it with little bit of patience and time, because this has a lot of engineering aspects involved, structural aspect involved with erosion control and water management. So these aspects and topics are again very important for your upcoming exam in October, and I am hopeful that most of you, if you actually follow the lecture on the particular day after you see the video, if you have any query questions, please write it down and come on the live session. And because in live session it is much more easier actually for us to interact and also get it clarified. So we also discussed about various water harvesting structures, drought management strategies. Then we moved to CPR, common property rights. So in common property rights, we discussed about that how CPR is in case of NRM actually is important, and right to your resources, how you can access them, how much actually you are allowed to actually use a particular resource which is meant for common. So from actually CPR, we came into another aspect, and that is your tragedy of common. If you recall that we had a paper review on tragedy of common. So overall is that we covered various aspect of the natural resource management till date. Uh, then after CPR and after CPR we discussed about the tragedy of common of Gary Harding paper, and if you recall that we discussed about that how Gary Harding even 1960s those days could visualize that what the risk that world is facing. So he gave enough warning in his paper and also give an example that how resources, as long as everybody gets the benefit, they go there, take the benefit, but once it is lost, nobody knows it. It is nobody's. So that's why it called as tragedy of common. So I hope that you have also read that paper. I had given the link also for that paper. Then we came into another topic, that is environment management system, EMS. EMS is also a very, very important aspect which directly impact the natural resource management of any place in the world. So in India also we have various kind of environment management system. We have different standard like ISO 14001 and various other approaches which we discussed during this lecture. So we discussed also the PTCA approach, if you remember, Plan to Check Act, framework of EMS. Then we discussed about the various definition benefits of EMS, and then significance of EMS in developing countries, and then various aspect of that in the development of developing countries, trends in our country as far as environment management system is concerned. So different environment initiatives we discussed. Then we got into the national environment policy, a very important document for our country. Its objectives and principles of NEP we discussed in great detail, and finally actually NEP gives you a overall outlook of that how a better environment policy supported by a strong technological backup can actually help you to to preserve, conserve natural resources for not only for our present use but also for the use of future generation. So I would like to stop here. So participants, this was a quick kind of a recap of what you have gone through in the first couple of weeks. In another day, I will come back with the revision of some other following lectures. This is to help you to revise the portions that already you have gone through. So I would request all of you to carefully see the slides, carefully see the lectures, and I'm sure that most of you will get benefited if you go through it in a little slow and with little bit of patience. So wish you all the best and look forward to meet you once again in the next live session. Thank you very much.